What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV Daily Rewind. So where we go back a week, give you the past 7 days of tech news videos in one single video. This was really interesting week of tech news. We learned about the Pixel Fold coming back. We learned about Galaxy S22 and some special S Pen features coming to that phone and the Galaxy Tab S8. We learned about a bunch of stuff. So if you want to know about the base version of the S22 Ultra and to be slightly disappointed about that, we have stuff about that and so much more. So enjoy this week, and we'll see you in the next one. Our first story of the day, again, about the Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. They will announce it today. They haven't announced it just yet. At the time of me making this video, it's 2:45. I think they're announcing it at 6:30 Pacific, I think it was, or maybe it was 6:30 Eastern. So very, very soon, maybe by the time I post this video. But regardless, if you want to pre-order it, I don't even know if they're gonna ever pre-order, but ultimately I'll link it down below. You can bring you to that splash page so you can read more about it. But with that said, here's a tweet from Joshua Swingle, who put it, and again, a beautiful tweet here that we can just follow along, showing that it's gonna have a Snapdragon 888, and this is all official stuff. 6.4-inch Full HD 120 Hertz display, the optical fingerprint scanner, I mean it's going to be underneath the display for that fingerprint scanner, 12 megapixel main, 12 megapixel wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto, 32 megapixel selfie camera. You can either get it with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, or 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, 4,500 milliamp battery, Android 12, IP68, and NFC. Shipments start January 11th, so that's next week, a week from today, and it's going to cost either $699 or $769 based off of what the configuration you choose with the 6128 or the 8256. This is what it looks like. Everything we kind of knew about it and know about it has been like that since day one, but it's basically ready to go. Keep your eye on that splash page if you're looking to pre-order it. Once the pre-orders do go live, I'll also put it on a little post on my YouTube. Next up is about the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and it's a little bit of bad news, at least I feel like it is, in a way, because the Galaxy S22 Ultra is basically, in a candy bar sense phone, the perfect phone. It's got a great display, it's gonna have great sound, it's gonna have great software, it's gonna have high performance, it's gonna have great cameras. There's really not anything to not like about this, but one of the things we've been hearing, especially today because of a benchmark, is that it's not gonna have potentially as much RAM as expected. Again, this is the Ultra version, not the 22 or the 22 Plus. I'm talking the 22 Ultra. So as you can see from the headline, a Geekbench listing confirms that the S22 Ultra could get a RAM downgrade. And we're looking at that based off of some benchmark scores showing the single core of 997 and a multi-core score of 3483. When you look at the bottom, it says memory 7.13 gigs, which equates out to 8 gigabytes of memory. And eek, come on. Like, do we need 12? I'll wholeheartedly admit, probably not. Would it help with performance and just overall usage of the phone? Yes, especially if you're a heavy-handed user and you like a lot of apps and doing a lot of things on the phone at the same time. It's definitely going to help. It's not going to hurt it in terms of performance. And it begs the question, are they only going to put 8 gigs of RAM in this? Is this just, not a fake, but is it just a one-off thing that maybe they just wanted to test it with 8 gigs of RAM? Is it a budget version of the Ultra and everything else would be 12 and 16 gigs of RAM? That's a remaining question. I'm hoping this is just a version of the 22 Ultra that you can get if you want to save a little bit of money, because obviously it would reduce the cost, but it remains to be seen. It's a little bit of a turnoff, especially when you expect and have seen Samsung has put 12 gigs of RAM in all their premium phones for the past handful amount of years. And this is just a bit of a turnoff. So I finally got the update today, and that'll be our first story today. I got the update for the Galaxy Z Fold 3 Android 12 update. I've been running the beta for a long time, and it seems like in the US, this phone got it, the Z Fold 3, finally, like the full, I know people have gotten it in other carriers, but it seems like it's basically out for everyone at this point. Note 20 people have gotten it that were on Verizon. Like, seriously, check for the Android 12 One UI 4 update. Just go into settings, and then at the bottom, software update, check for an update, and you should have it. I finally got it. Told my wife to download it. I don't know if she's at work right now, so I don't know if she got it, but still, very, very good news. Not running the beta anymore, so I'll be curious to see if my battery life actually gets better, because it's been like crap forever since I've had this software, and even before that. So Hopefully it got better. But beyond that, guys, again, that was our first tech news story of the day. I've got one other big one which dives really deep into the S22 Ultra, as well as a bunch of questions from you guys. So let's dive right in to the main story. And again, that is about the Galaxy S22 Ultra. We learn a lot of stuff about this phone, stuff we knew, and this is official information that's diving through right now. So let's check this out. So first of all, I want to tell you where this information is coming from. I'll link his Twitter down below. He's also a YouTuber if you wanted to follow him on YouTube. His name is Zarab Khan. Hopefully I got that right. And Z-Tech Care is his channel. I'm not going to show his official photos because I don't want to get a copyright from Samsung. So I'm going to show you some tweets out here that describe everything in detail. Let's first go into Let's Go Digital's tweet right here. And they say that you're going to get a 108 megapixel new camera with a super clear lens. You're going to get embedded S Pen, 8 gigs of RAM. So the 8 gig of RAM version is true, but again, we'll dive into that a little bit more in depth because they wrote only 8 gigs of RAM, but it's a little bit more complicated. Not complicated, but it's a little bit more to that story. 4 official colors for the 22 Ultra: Phantom Black, Phantom White, green, and burgundy. So if you want to get any of those colors, they should be available at launch, hopefully, where you live. So I know someone the other day was asking about that, if that red/burgundy color is real. Yes, it's real. We're going to jump over to Joshua Swingle's tweet next because he goes even more in depth with this. So key Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra specs: 6.8-inch QHD plus 120 hertz display. It's going to run the Exynos 2200. Now, you should also get the Snapdragon one if you live in America and other places in the world, but this specifically talks about the Exynos version 2200. Now, for RAM, you'll either be able to get the 8 gigabyte RAM version or 12 gigabyte RAM version. The 8 gigabyte RAM version is going to be for the 128 gigs of storage, but if you get the 256 or 512, I believe those will be coming with 12 gigabytes of RAM. But the 8 gigabyte RAM, again, is real. 5,000 milliamp battery. And a complete breakdown on the camera. So the main camera, basically 108 megapixel f1.8 aperture main camera with a super clear lens, meaning you're gonna get some really clear photos. 12 megapixel aperture 2.2 ultra wide, 10 megapixel aperture 2.4 telephoto 3x, 10 megapixel aperture 4.9 with telephoto 10x, and that front camera will be a 40 megapixel 2.2 aperture selfie camera. But we're not done, guys, yet. This goes deeper because we talked about this phone having the brightest display ever, and we get a little detail about that with Ishar Nagarwal's tweet saying, looks like Samsung's Galaxy S22 Plus and the S22 Ultra will feature record-breaking LTPO AMOLED 1,750 nits of brightness, according to a new certification listing. That's ridiculous how bright that's going to get. This is going to be fantastic outside. This is going to be the best display to have in outdoor settings, and if you just want a really bright display. So a lot of information came out there. If you want to see the official photos and things like that, I'll link his name is Arab Z-Tech Care's tweet that shows that stuff, so you can check it out. But yeah, some interesting takeaways there. 8 gigabyte RAM version. We just learned about that earlier this week, and that is true. That will come out. A lot of people will probably end up getting that one because of the price. It'll be the cheapest one for the 22 Ultra, and they don't know. Do they need 12 gigs of RAM versus 8? I mean, they'll probably be fine, honestly, but it's still something to know about there. And then we know more information about those cameras and how they're going to be different. We know about, what else about the colors and the processor, the storage amounts and all that stuff. Stuff we knew, but it kind of like this stuff locks all of this information into place. This story is coming out of CES. It's I'll link the full video down below if you want to watch it in its entirety, but I saw it on Sam Mobile and then they pulled it from somebody on YouTube, and it's a crazy concept display coming from Samsung. It's called their Samsung Flex Slideable, and it's pretty wild and it's interesting, and it's a look at the future of things to come. We've talked about sliding out phones, and this shows it in its entirety. And when we look at this, the Flex Slideable, it is just pretty wild in terms of how it actually works and how smooth it looks, and it's going to be complete wow factor for people that you do it in front of and people that just see it for the first time. Things that I think about when I see something like this, though, is like, you know, is it gonna be able to show more than just like menu type items or apps on the side? Will I be able to have that be another part of the video display so I can watch an even bigger, larger video rather than just watching the video on one part and then have that smaller display just be like menu or apps types things over there? That's what I would be more curious about, because for me, it's sometimes, you know, I do want that bigger display to watch my video, to play my game, to look at the website, to see my social media, rather than only having menu items on there. But I can see this being an interesting thing, another point for Samsung to sell us something interesting and get us onto that next frontier of phones and displays and potentially tablets. Like, this has so many potential use cases. It looks amazing. Like, just what they have so far is totally like, whoa, that was pretty crazy and super smooth and pretty awesome. So our first story of the day, I'm gonna start it off big. It's a phone that was coming out and then it was canceled and we didn't know that much about it, and we still kind of don't know that much about it, but it's seemingly back to life and it's seemingly coming out fairly soon based off of what we know right now. Now, as you can see from this headline, the Google Pixel Fold benchmark suggests that the phone is still in the works and coming soon. And when we jump over to this, the Galaxy put this together for us a little bit clean, so that's why I decided to use it. But ultimately, Google Pixel Fold benchmark 4 score, it's showing that it has a Tensor processor, it's showing that it's gonna run Android 12, and it's also showing that it's gonna have 12 gigabytes of RAM. And it's got some fairly impressive scores with a score of 4851 on the single core and 11442 on the multi-core score. And when this boils down to, they usually don't put out benchmarks for phones unless they're mere 2-3 months away or a month away or weeks away from being released. So this really makes me feel like this phone, based if it's coming off on a benchmark, is that it's going to be released in the next 2 to 3 months. My guess, if this still rings to be true after this phone seemingly canceled or whatever, is that the phone will probably be released in March or April. I feel like it's actually gonna be April. I'm hoping it'll be sooner though, due to the fact that I just want the phone. It's supposed to have the same form factor as a Galaxy Z Fold phone, where it can open and close. It has the big screen, it has this, you know, long and skinny display after that. It's got the cameras on top of the displays like the Z Fold 2. The cameras on the phone itself are supposed to be Pixel 5-esque-ish, which is fine with me. It's still a really, really good camera. I would have preferred Pixel 6, but I'll deal with it. So I'm really excited about this. I know some of you don't care, some of you do. This is fairly exciting news, and hopefully as time develops, we'll learn more and more about if it's gonna be released, when it's gonna be released, and everything else. Next up is a car charger. Not very exciting, but this should launch when the Galaxy S22 Ultra launches, and you can see the new Samsung car charger, EPL4020, launching alongside the S22 series. One-time charge, obviously one port, and it charges at 15 watts, or you can max it out at 25 watts. So if it charges fairly fast, it's probably gonna be like 40 bucks, which to me, I think is overpriced. These things should be like 20 bucks or less usually. But exciting if you're a fan of car chargers, Samsung products. Again, this will be out when the S22 launches. Next up, we dive a little bit deeper into the S22 Ultra, and some of the details we know, some of them we don't, and it's just interesting overall. So you definitely want to take hold of this if you're getting the S22 Ultra. This is coming from a video that ZTech Care has just put out. So if you want to watch that video, I'll link it right down below. But ultimately, Ishana Garwal's put out this tweet detailing the highlights of that video, saying that there'll be the super clear lens, 108 megapixel wide angle lens. We're gonna get the 12-bit HDR photos and videos. I think that's up from 10-bit if I'm not mistaken. 45-watt charging will come standard with the S22 Ultra. Super natural handwriting experience. So again, the handwriting experience will have a lag, this is basically nothing. 2.8 milliseconds S Pen latency, which is 3 times better than the Note 20's 9 milliseconds. So it's pretty impressive. And then the base model will only have 8 gigabytes of RAM. Again, we know and knew some of this stuff if you've been following along over the last couple of days and weeks. Most of that stuff isn't really new. It's just diving a little bit deeper into it, you know, getting more confirmation that this stuff is and truly is the way it's going to be for this phone. First story of the day is about the Galaxy S22 Ultra and how wide the main camera is, because now we have news or information that it's going to be wider than the S20 Ultra, than the S21 Ultra, but just how much wider of a shot are you gonna get with, again, with this main camera? I'm not talking about the ultra wide, I'm talking about the regular run-of-the-mill main camera. Well, this information comes from IT Universe saying the S22 Ultra's main camera has a wider wide angle range. We know that the S21 Ultra is wider than the S20 Ultra, but the S22 Ultra is wider than the S21 Ultra, and I'm talking about the main camera, and he goes into detail showing that the S20 Ultra has a 7 millimeter, and then it goes down to 6.7, and then 6.4 millimeter. So there you go. It should have a slightly wider viewing angle when you take photos with the S22 Ultra. I don't think those are huge numbers, but I mean, it is something to know. So just keep that in mind, that it should have a slightly wider viewing angle when you take photos on that new S22 Ultra. The next story has to do with something we spoke about yesterday, where we talked about the S22 Ultra obviously having the S Pen, but having super, normal handwriting feeling to it because of the latency is like ultra low. And the tablet that's going to be coming out almost alongside this device, the Tab S8 Ultra, will have something basically the same, because this, again, coming from ICE Universe, you can see down below where Zarab Khan is talking about the supernatural writing experience. Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra to rock a crazy 2.8 millisecond S Pen response, 3 times more latency versus 9 milliseconds of the Note 20 Ultra, the fastest and most realistic S Pen experience ever. And you can see right above that says, yes, from ICE Universe, 2.8 milliseconds, and the Tab S8 Ultra will have it as well. So this is very cool due to the fact that the screen on the Tab S8 Ultra, I think it's 14.6 inches, and imagine having super natural handwriting experience with basically almost no latency at all on there. It's gonna make for a wonderful experience, especially on that huge canvas-like display. But at the same time, you're adding all these, high-end features into this tablet. We're probably looking at a very expensive tablet as well. Definitely probably, I would bet, probably their most expensive tablet to date when it does come out. Today was extremely slow for tech news. Today was the day 15 years ago when Apple announced their very first iPhone. Google's got some issues going on right now with potentially having to hold back and not release any more Pixel devices because they have an issue with another company. But it's not that exciting, at least I feel like for you guys. With that said, I'm gonna give you a really cool tip and trick. This is for not only people that have Galaxy phones, but basically anyone that has an Android device. And I believe it's only if you're running Android 12. And I'm gonna show you, it's very, very easy, and it's gonna help the installation process speed of your apps and be much faster. And then we have some questions for you guys after that. So with that said, let's jump into today's video, and this is what you're gonna do. So first thing you're gonna do, first comes first, is open up the Google Play Store. Once you have the Google Play Store open, hit the your picture in the top right, and then after that you're gonna go down until you see settings. So tap on settings, and then from here you're looking for general, so tap general. And then you're gonna see it right here, app install optimization. It says send data to Google about which parts of an app you use, making apps faster to install, open, and run for everyone on Play. Now, if you have that turned on, that's gonna slow down the process of installing apps. So turn that off, hit your home button, and then the next time you download and install an app on your phone, it's gonna be that much faster for you. So turn that off. If you've been having issues where apps are taking longer to maybe quote unquote download / install, that's gonna make that whole process feel faster and better overall. So there you go. Your question of the day is, what's the most annoying thing about having an Android phone? Put that in the comments down below. I think for me, I don't really find too many annoyances with Android, but I would love to have a universal messaging system akin to iMessage that was cross-platform. Like, just come out with that. I know we have texting and we have RCS, but it's still not perfect. Like, just come up with something that's similar to iMessage and as easy as iMessage. Do it. Google, do it. And I think that's what they should do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. With that said, let's jump into the Q&A portion of the video and drop that beat. Lakuk Patel says, why does the Z Fold 2 not get the Google Feed option with One UI 4 update alongside Samsung Free? Ask Samsung, unless they have some deal worked out with Google, but from what I remember, I think it doesn't have it. So super annoying, super stupid. Who knows why? I assume it's some kind of deal that Samsung and Google have going on that it's not meeting with that phone. If it's not that, then it's Samsung just being greedy and making you have a reason to upgrade to the Z Fold 3, because the Z Fold 3 does have that option. Goon Squad says, how's your battery life now on the Z Fold 3 with Android 12? Still crappy. I would say if I haven't paid too much attention to it in terms of like really eyeing in on it, but it seems maybe a tad better than the beta version of Android 12, but barely anything. I would still say bad. Shajil Sazad said, do you think that there might be fast charging power bank, like a 25 watt fast charging with 40,000 milliamp self, and will cost nothing more than $149? From Samsung, no. From somebody else, maybe, but I highly doubt it. Scandalous Bubo says, will S22 Ultra have an SD card slot? No, it's not rumored to have one. None of the versions of the S22 are rumored to have SD card slots. So flagship phones I don't think that's ever going to come back for Samsung to have the SD card, so I wouldn't even think about it as an option. New York's Finest says, how accurate are leakers about the S22 Ultra? Has there been any times when a leaker leaks something and Samsung announced something completely different? What do you think Samsung will say? I think we're pretty spot on probably with the S22 Ultra. There'll be some things that people either didn't know or something was a little bit different. But in terms of being completely wrong about leaks in the past, that it has happened. When and what's the specific instance, I can't remember, but I feel like there has been. I just can't remember. And there you guys go. That is your questions for today. If you have a question, leave it in the comments down below with the word question, and we'll see you down the road. Peace.